Wanking killer abilities. Hello there! As you know, each killer in Forsaken has a carefully chosen moveset that is designed to reflect their unique playstyles, and all of their abilities are intended to synergize well with each other. Well, keyword intended. However, it seems that some of these abilities are just far more useful and simply better than others, even if they're all good in their own way. So prepare yourselves! I'm going to go through and give my personal ranking on every killer ability. And don't forget, this is my opinion! So if you walk away from this crying, that's on you, loser! Oh, before we dig in, did you know that only a very small percentage of people who watch my videos are subscribed? Why not help me change that by fisting the subscribe button? Do it. Do it. You better do it, mate. One more thing, please consider joining my Discord server. We just hit 400 members, and we need you to help build our army. Well, my army. The link is in the description, so, what are you waiting for? Okay, let's get into it. Unfortunately, last place goes to pizza delivery. You might even be a little surprised at this, since I'm a big Cool Kid glazer, but let's look at the facts here. Consider that Cool Kid has no other way to actually track the survivors other than this, and it does a pretty poor job at it. The minions slowly bumble towards the closest person, and the only intel you'll really get is the general direction they're in. It doesn't actually highlight anyone until a delivery minion makes contact with the survivor, and even then they might just not. They're super easy to run away from if you see them coming, and don't forget that a decent chance or guess can also just kill them with a click of a button. Still, pizza delivery isn't terrible. You can get some pretty good value if you chase a survivor towards them, or if they end up wandering towards an unsuspecting person on a generator. You get some pretty good damage out of it, and the slowness debuff can be straight up lethal in a chase. Well, if you're already creaming with rage all over your screen, remember that something has to go last. The number 15 spot goes to Error 404, John Doe's aura reading ability. I'm putting it here because there's actually not really much I can say about this one. It's very straightforward. You scan for a couple of seconds and you see the location of every survivor on the map. That's all there is to it. Nothing more, nothing less. You can also parry stuns, but like, who actually gives a shit? It's solid and consistent and definitely helps Johnny Toe with his trapper playstyle, but it's not always going to be a huge impact on the round, you know? It's actually kind of hard to complain about this one, which is weird because I'm actually really good at whinging and gurning, but oh well. If you weren't throwing a tantrum before, I bet you are now. The number 14 spot goes to Nova, the first projectile on the list. Now, Nova was hard to place, as some of my regular viewers already know that I'm not a huge fan of it. Sure, I've grown more fond of it since my Noli video, but it's still not anything that special. Of course, the whole gimmick is that you can use it to pull survivors to the center, which, you know, sounds good on paper, but in reality, it doesn't actually do all that much. Of course, there are times where you can use it to pull survivors off ledges and stuff, but that only really works if you're playing against a player with the IQ of a fucking jammy dodger. The best part of Nova for me is its extremely short cooldown. I'm practically using this ability 24/7 when I play as Noli because it's just a convenient way to deal some extra damage. This ability unfortunately finds itself outclassed by every other one in Noli's kit, which renders it kind of irrelevant. So, sorry not sorry. The number 13 spot goes to Gashing Wound, the most punishing ability in the whole game. Well, arguably anyway. Where Jason rams his chainsaw inside a survivor's farthole, dealing a whopping 50 damage. And that's cool and all, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. I would recommend not using it unless you're absolutely sure that you're going to land it. The long end lag afterwards can be genuinely devastating in a chase sometimes, and there are only a few circumstances where I'd actually use Gashing Wound. For example, I don't know, say if you, block bait a guest. That guy is completely and utterly screwed. Because there's nothing there's no... Fuck me. Oh my god, I'm keeping that in. Otherwise, what you can do is use it on a survivor with no stamina, or you could corner a survivor and then try to predict where they'll run to. And because Gashing Wound's hitbox is the size of the fucking sun, most of the time you're gonna land it. Look, okay, Gashing Wound is useful, but you have to recognize that it's not that versatile, and every other killer has a way better high damage ability anyway. The number 12 spot goes to Corrupt Nature, and I'm sorry, I just think it's a better projectile than Nova in almost every way. Even the fact that it travels through walls and has zero wind-up automatically makes it more useful, as you can use it to actually catch people off guard, unlike Nova, which has a wind-up, so everyone and their nan can see it coming. The damage and slowness debuff it inflicts can also be insanely punishing, especially up close, usually resulting in a free M1 or 2, and by that point you're already dead, so, you know. Okay, now that I think about it, there's not really much else I can say. Corrupt Nature is just good. Simple, but good. The number 11 spot goes to Raging Piss, which is exactly what I need right now. Gotta be straight here, I think this ability is kinda overrated, but that does not mean that it's not pretty good. Unfortunately, you can only aura read one survivor with it at a time, rather than all of them. But that obviously doesn't really matter if you're playing as Jason, whose playstyle is mainly focusing on taking out each survivor anyway. Staging Grace definitely assists with that melee playstyle, giving him a few useful buffs. The most obvious buff is that you refill stamina when using it, which majorly helps you to catch up in a chase. You also get stun immunity, which is really handy. It does also synergize with the others quite well, as you gain a damage boost to all of Jason's abilities, but that's not like a huge thing. I like Aging Mace, but I wouldn't say it's the best aura reading ability. Welcome to the top 10. Now this is where good abilities get real good, and even harder for me to rank properly. The number 10 spot goes to Corrupt Energy, so
get ready for some scary spikes!
Corrupt Energy made it to my top 10 simply because it's just a really versatile and fun ability to use, and there are a ton of different ways to use it. You can use it to parry a stun, trap, or damage survivors. And as a level 100 John Doe, I mostly just use it for trapping, as that's the most consistent way to get kills in my experience. Although I'll admit, using it to get that high damage is really satisfying. Corrupt Energy is perfect for John's Trapper playstyle, and I don't think I'd have it any other way. The fact that it takes actual skill and brainpower to use and control, it's just a huge turn on for me. I'm not even joking, I'm so hard right now! The number 9 spot goes to Observant, and yes, I am dead ass, this is one of my personal favorites. A lot of people underestimate this one, or tend to forget about it entirely, as if it being able to teleport almost anywhere on the map isn't an extremely powerful thing for Noli to just be able to do whenever he wants, but sure, whatever. Observant is really good for aura reading with the level's hallucination, allowing you to see the location of every survivor on the map, and I typically use it on closer generators just in case if I'm really unsure on where everyone's at, which stops me from having to cross the entire bloody map just to get to them if I mess it up. But if you do end up teleporting to a generator with survivors on it, you can synergize the hallucination 3 effect with Void Rush to get immediate slams, which is very tough indeed. The number 8 spot goes to Walk Speed Override, an ability so brain dead it needed an emergency rework. And a lot of people argue that the rework was a buff, while some think it was a nerf. I couldn't tell you what I think. All I know is that Walk Speed Override is just a great ability hands down. And similar to Gashing Wound, should only be used if you're really sure it's gonna land. Missing a Walk Speed Override can be genuinely torturous to come back from with that diabolical end lag.
I also use it for quick traversal since it doesn't consume any stamina. I don't know if anyone else actually does that.
I think the main thing that puts this ability so high up is the stupidly short cooldown. Being able to dish out a high amount of damage is one thing, but being able to do it this often is just some crazy work. The number 7 spot goes to Unstable Eye, which I personally think is the best aura reading ability in the game if you take into account how well it synergizes with the rest of 1X's kit. Pairing Unstable Eye with Mass Infection or Entanglement is an absolutely insane combo, as both of them can travel through walls and objects to reach the survivor, even if they're on the other side of the map. And this strategy works pretty much all of the time. On its own, Unstable Eye is still really good. A side benefit of using it is that you receive a small speed boost, which is actually way more important than you think with a killer like 1X, who's on the slower side of the roster. And as for the blindness, you sort of learn to work around it once you learn the map layouts a little better. So if you are one of the few people who think that Unstable Eye isn't a good aura reading ability, that's fine! You're just stupid, wrong, and fat! The number 6 spot goes to Mass Infection. I've actually got a mass erection right now. Mass Infection is just great. maybe a little too great. I mean, short cooldowns, high damage. What's not to like? Oh yeah, and keep in mind that this projectile of doom and despair travels across the entire map, through every object, at fucking light speed! If you hit someone up close, it also does more damage than any other shitting attack in the entire game. Sure, it doesn't happen that often, but Jesus Christ, it is a scary possibility to think about. There's nothing else I even need to say here to justify my placement. Do I? We are in the top 5 now. The real meat and potatoes. And 5th place goes to Rejuvenate the Rotten, meaning I've just ranked 3 1x abilities back to back. I am actually quite shocked at myself for putting RTR here, especially after the most recent nerf, but hear me out. You can have up to 7 minions patrolling the map, and they're actually really good at keeping the pressure up. All of a sudden, places around the map you thought were safe are suddenly infested by zombies that you can't approach without being chased. This also means you can't camp in one spot forever as well. 1x can also kill them for a small speed boost, which is yet again another advantage that works especially well towards the end of the round. And before the Noli update, you could farm them to get speed 3. This was... Come on. This was obviously completely busted and just made an already strong character even better. So I would be telling a fat lie if I said the nerf was undeserved. Even today, my point still stands. The minions do solid damage and are really good for total map control. So yeah, I believe it deserves this placement here. And if you disagree with me, then I'll just kill you in real life. 4th place goes to Behead, which I think is the best Jason ability by far. You wouldn't really expect Behead to be anything special, considering it's pretty much just an upgraded version of Jason's M1 that can be used as a follow-up attack. It is fantastic in a chase, because aside from having a small lunge that propels Jason forwards, it also has the world's largest hitbox ever fucking seen, meaning that if you're smart enough, you can always land a Behead. I love the consistency.
Now, you might notice that Behead actually gives you slowness for a second afterwards to kind of balance things out a little, but I'll let you in on a not so very secret. It doesn't actually make a difference at all.
Now, the best part about Behead is how it inflicts the helpless debuff that prevents survivors from using their abilities, and that effect is given to everyone it hits for 8 whole seconds. If you're one of those cretins who somehow think Helpless isn't insanely strong, you can suck my dick at balls, because how in the Mickey Mouse fuck did you even come to that conclusion? Anyway, that's why I think Behead deserves to be up in the top 5. You know, you could argue with the wall. Just, oh my god.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
3rd place goes to Void Rush, and that may come as a shock to returning viewers who know that I don't exactly have the best opinion of Void Rush. Let me get this out of the way. I still don't find Void Rush the most fun ability to use, but it is, without a doubt, one of the most versatile and interesting abilities they've put in Forsaken. It is a phenomenal way to speed blitz across the map, and you can curve it around objects to redirect yourself, which is especially useful since Noli normally moves at the speed of an old dying man with rickets. Now, hitting one survivor twice with one use is hard to pull off, so it requires some serious thinking and planning beforehand, but it is so satisfying to pull off. You can also use it to bounce off survivors to spread out your damage if you want, which is solid, but I typically don't use it for that. I prefer to use it to focus all the damage on a single target. And that's about all I have to say. I feel like this will probably divide my audience. I know a lot of people feel very strongly about Void Rush, but I don't know. I'm sure I'll catch some of you debating this with each other in the comments. Just, you know, don't be too harsh. 2nd place goes to Digital Footprint, and oh boy! I bet some of you are probably spazzing out on the floor right now. Look, I'll call an ambulance after the video ends. I still need your watch time.
Where do I even begin with Digital Footprint?
Well, for starters, it is probably the most damning ability in the game. Step on one of these even remotely near John Doe, and you can kiss your hopes and dreams goodbye, because you are dead. You get heavily slowed and take around 20 damage from the corrupted effect. John Doe receives a speed boost, and all of that lasts for like 10 painful seconds. You can drop 3 of these anywhere you please, and can be used to completely cut off looping spots and generators, which makes it almost impossible for the survivors to do literally anything. The only possible flaw here is that it has map dependency, but I feel like that's not too much of a problem these days. The majority of maps have good looping spots or annoying areas you'll be able to completely cut off for the entire match. It is actually crazy. So yeah, without a doubt, Digital Footprint is the second best ability in the game, and you can come and fight me on it. I'll win though. Okay. You know what that means?
There's only one left. How dubious.
Here we are, the #1 spot for best killer ability in the game. You might have already used your common sense to figure out that first place goes to the one, the only, Entanglement! Hey, don't throw stones just yet. Yes, I do believe that Entanglement is the best killer ability, and it's actually by quite a long shot. You see, the thing that defines Entanglement as such a strong ability is the fact that it completely defies the laws of the game. Forsaken is all about stamina management, but this ability ignores that rule. Hell, you could be the best damn stamina manager ever, and you'll still be snookered by a 1x with half decent aim. It comes out really fast and has very short end lag, and while it is harder to land than a mass infection, it is still brutal to go against. There's also no way to counter it at all, so yeah, that's fun. Great game design, guys. It also gives the 1x a short speed 2 boost if they land it, which means that by the time you break out of it, the killer is already up inside your asshole. Entanglement guarantees a free M1 in most cases, and it's just not fair in the slightest. It also has a reasonably short cooldown, which means you can just use it over and over again without consequence. And not to mention that you can't even just stun the killer right after you break free from it, because it also gives you helpless! Like, who sat down and designed this? Okay, that'll do. I'll say no more since this video is already getting a lot longer than I expected. Well, that concludes my ranking of the killer abilities, and whether you agree or disagree with my points, I hope that you can at least see where I'm coming from with some of these. I also hope that you enjoyed the video. I'm actually quite proud of it. If you want to see me do the exact same thing with the survivor abilities, let me know by beating the subscribe button to death. Like, actually just fucking beat it to death! Oh, and one more thing, please try to be civil and respectful in the comments. I know another YouTuber who I'm friends with now that made something similar and had some seriously awful things said to them in the comments, and he did not deserve that backlash for sharing his own opinions. Like, if you're getting this pressed over Forsaken, you need to step outside and rethink your life choices. Like, seriously, fucking grow up. Just get your act together, mate. Right. Well, that's gonna do it for me, so, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.